Hi fellow introverts, Stacy here, your programming and test automation expert. Today we will be covering the basics of list comprehensions in Python. If you have never heard about this feature, fear not, we are going to start with the very basics and we will go and complicate things step by step. So definitely you will learn how it works and what is the difference between list comprehension, a list, and a regular for loop in Python. If you already know this stuff, then please wait for the next video where we will cover more advanced topics and we will discuss whether you should use a list comprehension in this particular case or not, and how to use list and dictionary comprehensions in different situations. So this is the plan and we are getting ready to get on with it. But before that, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel and check the links in the description where you will find today's video code as well as some useful links about help for Ukraine and our upcoming trainings. So more on that during the video, and now it's time to get on with it. Alright, fellows, first task is to actually understand the very basics of list comprehensions. So if you already mastered this dark magic, then just go ahead and skip to the next section where we will discuss more advanced topics. But if you are new to this, stay tuned. We are going to take a look at the basics right now. First question is how list comprehension is different from a list or from a for loop, because these things are quite maybe similar and this might be a bit misleading at first. Let's imagine that we want to ask somebody for their friend names and we want to put these names into a list. We can do something else with the list afterwards, but we need some data from the user. Okay, so we have our input and we want to ask the user of our application a couple of times what is his or her friend's name. We can actually implement a for loop, so let's do that just to see how it's done normally without list comprehensions. So let's do a for. Okay, so we have a for. We're going to run this input for 3 times. That's fine. And now we need a list where we can append this value. So let's call it result. Okay. So it's asking us the name, so we can do Betty, Nicholas, and let's say Stacy. Works as a charm, as expected, nothing complicated here. So now, I would say that we can make a list comprehension from all of these lines, these 4 lines that we have written, and it's going to be just one line, even with the print. So how would you do this? Let's first of all try to create a list which will contain just one friend's name, and we will do it in one line. So let's do result equals, right? We have our list. I will comment this out for now just so that it doesn't disturb us. And now we want just to have one friend's name inside of this list. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this line here, this piece of code, and put it here. And it will work perfectly fine in Python. Don't know about other languages, but this syntax works in Python. So if we put back the print result for now and we run it, it's going to ask us the name and let's say Melissa. And as you can see, we're going to get a list with one element, which we received through the input. This gives us an idea that actually you can do some operations inside of those braces. So this is already something that we have to remember. And now we can actually use the for inside of our list, right? So we can go ahead and just copy the for underscore in range 3 and put it here. It's a little bit vice versa, but we are saying that do something for in range 3. And as you can see, we don't use the append here because it's happening inside of the list, huh? Yeah. So if we run it, it's going to ask us for the name first time, then the second time, and the first time. The same result as it was before, but I actually promised you that we are going to have just one line for all of those 4 lines. And of course, we can just put the print here instead of using a variable, right? Just like that. Okay, let's run it. Works as a charm. So one important thing here is to understand that list comprehension is not the same as one-liner for. It actually, beside of going through some values or a range, it actually also creates a list. This is quite important because a lot of people think that, well, list comprehension is the same as for, just written into one line, like you could do probably with a for or with an if operator, but it's actually not. It actually creates a list. This is where the name comes from. List comprehension, right? So this is something to keep in mind, that if you want to use the list comprehension, you want to actually create a new list. If we would have wanted to use this underscore somewhere, we could do print. Let's create another list. Let's call it an I for I in range. And let's say 10. And if we run it, well, it's going to ask us for names. Of course, I'm just going to put some values here just for it to work. This is our list with the input where we did the input. And here is our generated list of numbers. If you want to create a list of 0 to 10, for example, or 0 to 9, this is the way to do it in Python. One more thing that you have to know about list comprehensions is that you can definitely use if and else statements inside of the list comprehension. So let's go ahead and try it out. We are going to create a list using list comprehension. This is going to be our first list, and it's going to be a list of random numbers. So let's do that. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to generate 10 different numbers, which are random numbers from -10 to 10. So we cannot get -11 or we cannot get +12, for example, because we have a range specified here. Okay, nevertheless, we have our list of random numbers. We can print it out just to see how it looks like. Okay. So if I run it again, you can see that numbers are different. And now we can actually go ahead and use the if statement in another list comprehension to be able to actually filter this list by just negative numbers. So let's say we just want to get only negative numbers from this list, and we want to use a list comprehension for that as well. Because, well, let's say this is our task, that we want to get a list of positive numbers and a list of negative numbers that were generated. To do that, first of all, let me put some comment here so that we don't lose ourselves. And then we will do list of positives and list of negatives. Right? And now we want to put the list comprehensions here and here, just to be able to sort the numbers from our original list. So how are we going to do that? We are going to use I for I in list of random numbers, right? And we can just go ahead and copy it here as well. And now we can put the if. And the if is being put not at the very beginning, but at the end of the list comprehension. So what we do is if I, these are positive, so I more than 0, if I is less than 0. Okay? And of course, let's print them out. Okay, let's run it and see what happens. And here we go. We have generated list at the beginning. We have the positive 676, right? 676. We have the negatives. Sounds to be all right. And if we run it again, we will get another list here and there because we have other sets of randomized numbers. One limitation here is that inside of the list comprehension, you cannot assign anything to this I or to this underscore that you have here. You can just provide the value here for the element, but you cannot use an assignment operation. What do I mean is that you couldn't do something like this. If underscore more than 0, right? And just to say that underscore equals. This cannot be done, so just remember about this. Hey guys, a very quick interruption from my side. We are not sponsoring anybody except from ourselves, so I just wanted to let you know that we have a couple of more trainings coming up soon. We completely switch from regular traditional courses to more of a mentorship, I would say. And if you like what I do here on YouTube and you like the way I'm giving you knowledge, then you might expect something like this happening during the training because I'm one of the trainers. So if you'd like to join and learn more of Python or JavaScript or backend development or test automation, then you are very welcome to join. I really warmly welcome you on my training programs. So, anyway, if you are interested, you can check out the links in the description and the QR codes that appeared here. So, anyway, this is all I wanted to tell you. We're getting on with it, and thanks for your attention. We successfully used an if statement in our list comprehensions, but can you do the same thing with an if else statement, right? Because we don't have any else here. So we could try doing that. Spoiler alert, of course you can, but let me show you how it's done. Let's say for our example, we want also a list of numbers that are only positives, but you kind of convert the negative numbers to positive numbers, right? So how do we do that? Let's copy our list comprehension and we would say only positives, right? And now we need to somehow say it that if I is less than 0, then we use the abs function to make a number positive. And if it's not, then we just leave it be and it's going to be an I, right? We could try doing it here to put the else, right? And then just say the I and put the abs I here. But as you can see, it's being highlighted, so it kind of doesn't work. So the syntax here is a bit reversed. So let me just put it back. First thing that we would need to do here is we need to cut the if I less than 0 here and put it here after our I, right? Just like that. So now we get I if I is less than 0. We can apply the abs here, right? And well, looks much better, but there is a question, and actually PyCharm suggests that, well, this wouldn't work. Why is it so? Because we don't know what actually to do when the I is not less than 0. So we just simply need to put an else statement here, and here we specify which I we will return if we have it more or equal to 0, right? Just like that. Okay, so let's try it out. as you can see, we have the same list but with only positive numbers. So this works absolutely fine. There is no problem with that. Okay, can you use list comprehensions on dictionaries? Absolutely, you can do this. So let's take a look. We will cover a very strange example. Let's assume that we're implementing a backend which contains some values of some people and their ages. Let's say Roger is 66, Melissa is 30, and etc. etc. So we have this dictionary, which we retrieved from a database, let's say, and for some weird unknown reason, we need to prepare the data that is going to be displayed on the front end on the back end. Just not send the regular dictionary and then front end will take care of it, but we have to prepare this data, and for some reason, front end just accepts the lists. Let's imagine this weird reason. Actually happened to me in some projects, so this is not rare, but yeah, anyway, things happen. So let's say that we want to gather a list of strings on the front end that will look like this. Some name is age years old, right? So that we have, let's say, Betty is 8 years old, something like that. So in order to do that, we want to have a list comprehension because we want a list anyway being sent to our front end. So how are we going to do that? Let's do a print right away and put our awesome string here right away because this is what we want to output. Then we, of course, will need to complete our list comprehension. So we will do for. And now this is a dictionary. So in regular list comprehension with a list, we would do something like I in our list. So this will kind of work, but if you do a regular for on a dictionary like this, without specifying anything else, then I is going to be our key, right? It's going to be Roger, Melissa, Bob, Bruno, Betty, Summer, etc. So we will not achieve what we want. We want to get the key and the value, not just the key. So if you remember, there is a nice method which is called items, which allows us to return a tuple of keys and values. So keys and values pairs. So instead of I, we can use name and age, right? And the only thing left to do is just to format the string so that we put the name and age here inside of our string. So let's run it. And we have a nice looking list. Roger is 66 years old, Melissa is 30 years old, Bob is 14 years old, etc. etc. So works like a charm. Just the example is a bit weird. Alright, fellows, this is time to wrap it up for today. We've covered the basics of list comprehensions, and if you have any questions, any further concerns about this topic, then please let me know in the comments, as well as if you have any ideas on what we can cover next. We will see each other soon because there is going to be another video about more advanced and complicated cases related to list comprehensions. But this is it for today, so I wish you a very happy coding and I will see you very soon.